Welcome everybody. So as we can see, the chair and the deputy chair aren't in attendance tonight. So if I can have any nominations for a chair for this meeting.
Everyone wants to stand, but maybe not for a committee, so forgive me. I'd like to nominate Councillor Turnbull as chair for this meeting.
And can I have a seconder? Thank you. Can we vote on that? Lisa? Kerry?
Thank you, officer. Right, first, I apologies, but not because two apologies, do we? Or is it more than two?
So I've got a few. So Councillor Drake has given his apologies. Councillor Maynard has given her apologies, and Councillor Butterworth is standing in a substitute. Councillor de Court has given his apologies, and Councillor Hill is standing as his substitute. Councillor Farmer has given her apologies, and Councillor Paul has given his apologies.
Like a whole new committee.
Right, item 2, declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest at all, either pecuniary or non-pecuniary, the declarations of interest. If anything does come up, sorry, yes.
It's rather trivial, but in the accident log, I think a couple of them actually, they don't name the individual concerned, but they do concern me, but I don't think that really is material for the purpose of the business.
Okay. Right. Chairman's report on urgent items. Well, I obviously have nothing to report, and I presume that's it. Okay. Item 4, public questions in accordance with Standing Order 20. I presume
Not received.
Right. So we go on to the minutes of the last meeting held on the 11th of January 2023, which have been circulated and are enclosed herewith. Any questions on that? How do we take them as read?
Someone's got any questions?
Am I able to sign?
Yes.
Initial?
Yes, you're there.
Not signing the medical socials. It's really complete. Item 6, minutes of other meetings, etc. We have the minutes of the Accounts and Risk Subcommittee on the 9th of February 23, which I think are also included in the pack. Which we don't have to sign. I presume no one has any questions on these. Right. Officers' reports.
First one is the forward planner and resolution tracker.
Page, which was page 7. Page 7. Yep. Yep, carry on.
So all items on the resolution tracker have been marked as complete from their last meeting in January, other than the community grant fund application for the Salvation Army, where they were awarded £2,000, but they're still in the process of obtaining the balancing figure in order for them to purchase the projector that they're looking to buy. But that's the only thing.
How much is that roughly? Any idea?
So I think it was 5,000 on top that they're trying to raise.
Right. Everyone happy to accept the forward planner and resolution tracker report? Unanimous. We then go on to item 7.2, budgetary control 2022-23 report attached, which is page 14. It's difficult doing both. Right. Any comments on this, Daniel?
So just to say that this report reflects the financial position as at the end of January. I think if I can draw your attention to page 19 in the report, where we're currently showing a favourable variance of just over 12,000. The main changes from the report that was presented in January, which was up to the end of November, the main changes relate to investment income and the tree management budget. So with the tree management budget, there's we've been utilising earmark reserves and the capital reserve for tree planting, and we do have a base budget of £5,000, but we're not going to need to use that this year. So that's why there's a variance in the tree management. And as we've discussed previously, with the investment interest, that's going up. So that's also reflected in here, which is a bigger change from last month, but have to take any other note.
Moving forward, in this, you wrote this report a few days ago. Any significant change between now and the year end that you can anticipate that might be negative in particular? Nothing's come out of the woodwork.
Nothing particularly, no. There's nothing of note.
Any questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes, please, Chair. On page 15,
Question on that.
funding. 2/3 down the page on the left, it says tree planting CIP. What is CIP?
Capital investment program.
Okay.
Yes.
I do have another, page 16, 313,
Please, sir.
which is to do with grounds maintenance and the transfer to us of additional open spaces. If I understand it correctly, some of the district budget comes to us, maybe a small amount, along with such transfers. That's taken into account, and perhaps it wasn't adequate.
It's not quite that money's transferred over to us, it's just the special expenses reduce. So we don't actually receive any money directly as a council in our own right when they were transferred across. It's just the split when residents pay their council tax between what goes to districts and what comes to the town council.
Okay, fine. But the net effect is we get slightly more income.
Or we pay less as taxpayers. I think that's the way it works, isn't it? We'll pay.
Well, looking at the budget of the council receives a little more each year.
In precept, yes. Yes, sorry, yes, I'm with you, sorry.
It doesn't balance presumably because that's not quite enough, is that it?
Yes, that's correct. So it was where it was when the budget's set, obviously the grounds maintenance is a big part of our budget. It was an estimated figure about the cost of those sites being passed across, as well as estimating the inflation that would be added to the contract. So they're the reasons for the discrepancy.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Any other questions? Nothing.
Well, I think we've covered that it's actually a very good outturn in yet another bit.
It's very commendable that we're actually bearing in mind the rate that inflation has taken off the last few months when this was first set. I'm expecting inflation to be quite so high. Right, no other comments on page 17. No other comments you want to expand on page 17.
No.
Okay. So therefore, do we assume that we are, as a committee, happy to accept budget report?
One, two, one, yeah.
7.3, review of service level agreements, and we look at 20 to 28. Again, over to you, Emily.
Thank you, Chair.
20 to 28.
Yeah, so it starts on page 20.
Yeah.
The agreements are the same amounts as previous years and still within the existing budgets that we've got. Just a note as well that is stated in 3.4 of the report, agreements no longer contain the requirement that the organisations need to contribute to the mayor's charities and the proceeds of their events, but have to take any questions.
But do they in practice? Perhaps give a small contribution.
Potentially some do, I wouldn't say all.
So I don't think the organisations used to, did they?
No.
And then it was suggested last year that maybe we should ask for something because it's using our land, and so I think maybe that did happen for one or two events this year. But are we saying that it hasn't effectively worked or been a success and it's stopping?
No,
again?
I think I'm not sure which ones agree, but out of the service level agreements, I think one or two of the organisations agreed to the donations and one or two didn't, and these two didn't. So I think in future, some of the other service level agreements will still have that.
But these two
contributions.
maybe objected to having to do it,
Yes.
and we didn't push it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my understanding, roughly. Okay, any,
The ambit of the community services committee is quite wide and covers events on the common park, etc. And I just, it doesn't matter that one council. One could argue that these two belong with this community service committee rather than on their own here with the corporate policy finance committee, and presumably it came down to, well, it's just pure money and it's nothing to do with the events, and therefore they come to this committee, but they're slightly out of place.
But what is, sorry?
There's two service level agreements.
Is that the discussion we've just been having?
Yeah, the events on the common and park.
I see. With the way the budget's split out, we've got the line of I think it's service level agreements and grants. And when everything's split out, that line has sort of always fallen under CPF historically, but we can certainly have the debate.
but it's an artificial distinction, really.
Yeah, it's just the things that split between CPF and CFT and the service level agreements.
I just wanted to raise the question.
I tend to agree with you. I think it should really be, if they're the ones that decide it, it should be with them.
Well, it could be part of the decision. Do we go with it? I mean, these people we'll always go with because they're part of half. I don't know, but it could be part of the decision. Do we go with these people or not? It's a relationship point with them because clearly we had a debate about would we give to our charity? No, we won't. Okay, then you don't need to.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. I don't feel that strongly about it. I'm almost like surprised I hadn't heard that discussed.
Yeah.
Maybe it's been discussed at your committee, or maybe it's not been discussed. Well, it could have been discussed with the mayor and the deputy.
One interesting feature is, of course, we split. Those councillors are on this committee don't go to the other one, and vice versa. So you don't get this crossover apart from the mayor and deputy. But it all comes back to the officers, Carl and Dan, anyway. So it does work. So it's not. I didn't want to push the big point strongly, but that did occur to me on secret. Yeah. I think we're not pointed on it.
Moving, I think it's a very good point, actually. Any questions or comments on the actual service level agreements, pages 23, 24, to 25?
On page 24, it's for application 44. The council reserves the right to appoint a member to the events committee. It doesn't mean member in the sense of member of the council or councillor, or does it just mean representative? Could be an officer. Don't mind either way, it's not clear.
That's a small aim, isn't it? Rather a big aim. It is a big aim.
Terms on.
It was a big aim. It might well be a member of this committee. Yeah. Small aim.
What's intended?
As far as I'm aware, it's an officer. I can double check though, but I know
It's not a big deal, but if it was representative, then it wouldn't raise the issue.
it certainly did clarify.
Can I suggest you leave that as an item to be discussed with the town clerk and decide what it should be? Is it a member of this committee? Is it an officer?
I think it's an officer where certainly the events team certainly help with the bigger events that happen, even though they're not strictly our events, but they still help with them. So it will be a member of the events team, but I can certainly clarify that again.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
That's fine.
And again, likewise, the next one, which is 26, 27, 28, we assume the question, the points the same again, is it? What is it, the same, is it the same again there? No, we don't seem to have it.
So we can do that for one, not the other.
It's on for the Highland Gardens, but the classics on the common.
Maybe it's again, maybe for future reference, maybe something worthwhile, just logging and then.
Yeah, I'll certainly
Should it be?
I'll certainly clarify why it's on one, but not the other
Well,
one.
it doesn't have to nominate someone, but it'd be nice if we felt there was something not quite right. Have that capability. Everyone happy with that? Moving on to item 7.4, health and safety.
So we just vote on the.
Oh, sorry, my apologies. subject to the caveat. Moving on, 7.4, health and safety accident monitoring report attached. Yeah, this made an interesting reading, I must admit. Pages 29. Do you have any initial comments to pass on it before I open it to?
Just as a reminder that this came about as a result following the review of the health and safety policy back in November. The intention of the report is to show the incidents and the remedial action that was taken, and you're seeing the forward planner as well. The idea that this report will become an annual report now to the committee to show similar information each year about the incidents that have occurred.
My first comment was in 3.2 and 3.4. If you've got these bollards which fall down, how on earth did they hit car exhausts unless someone was going over them at some vast speed? My reaction was carried into her.
I can't picture what they would look like, fold down bollard, but
So, so they've been, I think where I've seen them before is when people have put them in front of parking spaces and you.
yeah, okay,
So,
so
yeah,
yeah,
fold
just
down.
like, yeah.
But I think the reason that the incidents occurred was, I think, the camber of the road. So if it's a perfectly flat road,
Yeah.
and you've got a bollard there, and it's fine. But if the camber of the road, it means the car's a bit lower, and the problems with the exhaust hitting the
I
bollard.
still think caveat emptor. Just admit.
It just
I'll read from here too.
Unless there's no fault with the way it didn't rest down properly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's my only comment. My reaction, everybody have a bit more brittle. Any particular remarks on all these things? Yeah, there's nothing, I want questions.
Chair, 4.1 on page 30, the
Which one, 30?
30,
30.
yeah, 4.1 gives the cost to the council. I presume the others were at no cost other than.
That's correct.
I didn't query whether you want another comment about future. But if it's not going to say much, then it's up to you. That's a presentation.
Absolutely valid point.
Looking at the actual incidents, Mark. Yes, Trevor, screwing something up to hit a car. Okay, that's unexpected, I suppose. I was just amazed at the number of incidents, I must admit.
It's quite impressive. That's quite a clever report. I don't. Yeah, I might imagine some of these things might not have even been noted really. So it's good that they are noted because you taking looking seriously. But that's what I thought 22. That sounds a lot, and I realised the sort of threshold is quite low for reporting things clearly, which is fine. Yeah.
I mean,
The one that surprised me that's on there is there was a private dance class. Just the fact that it's in Park Hall, but it's nothing really. Why is that on there?
See, with those circumstances where it was reported to us, we felt we should note it. So it was reported to us and we made a note of it. So that's why we put it in. But I think again, it was more the debate that we were having around it was because it's been noted to us, we should present it, but the concern was incidents that occur that we aren't made aware of in Park Hall, but we've got a good relationship with all their hirers, so we're comfortable with it. They're all pretty low risk activities.
Yeah.
I think it is right if you become aware of it that you log it because there could be a liability. And there's health and safety.
Yeah, it could have to do with if we had 40 tables that they used or something, I guess, yeah. I think this is really good. I think it would be, like, there's a lot on here, so I don't know, it's easy to do it regularly.
the only one I didn't see here is at the play park up out here. The ones who damaged playthings, and I think one or two people had slipped on, there's a I think, was a hump where it was supposed to be a gripping surface and it wasn't. And I think one or two people had been injured there. They don't seem to feature in here. Have I got it wrong?
I'm not sure which one.
Oh, there is one.
There's
There is one.
a couple in my
Yeah,
pants that we've noted. I'm not sure about.
I never one where someone was knocked unconscious. That's different. In fact, going on from that, like I think, one assumes these damaged and dangerous playthings have been repaired.
Yes, yeah, everything's been updated.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that.
Is it later, is it recent?
Which one?
Well, the ones that the one
Broken.
Yeah.
No. I wasn't, I thought you maybe looking for the, when the child fell and broke the rib. Sorry.
That's what is there, yes.
Yeah.
It's the monkey bars, I think.
I remember
Yeah,
that.
there was another one. Anyway, not to worry, as long as everything has been collected. I must admit that it's a very, very comprehensive report. It does show you how, it's so easy to be confident that you know what's going on and you don't do something stupid. So do we all accept this report? All in favor?
So, similar to my previous one, is whether this report, which I think is excellent, should be repeated, belongs with the Accounts and Risk Committee, given the
Should be.
brief.
Should be. At risk, it is a risk.
Because the electorate does look at the risk register, et cetera, it's part of that package,
That's where it came from, I
and then
think.
can report it out.
Is Councillor Butterworth here to steal all that? He's a mole. But yes, you're right. So, give them the title of it.
Should be. It's on, it's the, it's the output from the standards that we have set.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah, part of the same picture.
On the ground based on the rules we've laid down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've got the money here.
Right, 7.5, next item, citizens advice update, reported tax, which is page 36. Anyone, any comments on this? No comments?
Not really, it's just to, so it's the normal report in the same format, 115 comments with 337 issues. Hopefully, no surprises, it's all in the same format. So, any questions?
Please.
I would make one comment, which I have heard another councillor make in the past, and this is more for the next cycle, I guess, the new council. And I'm happy with, I mean, I think the citizens advice do a good job, and I'm happy with town council doing it, but I believe that the district council does give a grant as well. And it has been expressed that effectively there might be some doubling up, I guess, some of our residents effectively paying twice for this grant, one from SADC and one from the town council, maybe even from the county council as well, if they did the same thing.
Yeah.
I was going to mention it. I don't have a particular problem.
I don't know, because I think if this is specifically in Holland, then, like, I think it's hard if you are in need of using citizen advisory, you probably are in need of using it like next door.
Yes,
Not
yeah.
where you have to take a train if you don't have a car and all that. So I think that's just a function of us being part of SADC. I hear you, but I think it's quite reasonable. So I think I wouldn't make any decision on it either. I think there's arguments both ways.
I think that is the distinction, isn't it? If the service was provided solely in St Albans,
Yeah.
maybe we shouldn't pay. But they come here and they might say if we asked them, if we didn't give them a grant, they wouldn't come here. In which case, Hoxton residents, or those who need the service, are getting some things and we're, as a whole, getting something from money.
And we have raised the issue before, was this money effectively being spent in inverted commas in Harpenden rather, or on Harpenden residents rather than going into the
I
general.
noticed they're reporting on their clients who have a AR5 postcode address, which is purely Harpenden. If they weren't saying that, and people were being bussed in from the Norths and Normans, then it would be different, but they're not, that's not the basis of the report. So I think there's an answer to the perfectly valid question, but I think there's probably an answer to it.
Maybe the point, it was the point that I only heard make, maybe it was the point that it's the SADC council tax almost is being spent in St Albans. Anyway, it doesn't matter. As I say, I would continue with the grant, but it's not even up for discussion now.
It's on the forward planner for September to review the grant.
Everyone happy to accept the report? Thank you very much. 7.6, Community Grant Fund Monitoring Hampstead Research Cafe Scientifique.
So this one, so the grant was awarded in June of last year, £1,000 to the Northampton Research to restart the Cafe Scientifique. Caveat to the grant was monitoring information was to be provided, and that's what this report is showing. I think it's fair to say that things haven't quite gone to plan over the first 6 months of the cafe, but we have been reassured that they've got interested speakers line up and are currently seeking a new venue. It's just to kind of note that the current state of how the grant's being used, that there's
They haven't used very much.
no, it's more work to be done.
So have we given them £1,000 up?
So,
front?
yeah, so they've got £1,000 up front. And then the intention is to bring another report in 6 months' time to say, hopefully that they've found a new venue and had speakers and it's been successful, but we'll see what happens in 6 months' time.
But that's run by Rothampton, is it?
Yeah,
Sort of a bit of their outreach, I suppose, to the community.
yeah, that's my understanding of it.
I know we're not debating the merits here, but just in passing, they had difficulty with the pub as a venue, and I'm not surprised really. It doesn't seem the right venue. It's slightly surprised that they're not meeting at Rotherham Research, actually.
It might not be money, actually. It's a social pub type arrangement of the employer. You just thought the employer would assist them in giving them accommodation.
But anyway, they say they're hopeful of solving a new venue, wherever that is. So we wish them best of luck.
Anyway, everyone happy to accept? I presume item 8, accept business, nothing. But does anyone else have any other items they wish to raise? Can we formally close the meeting? Thank you very much, everyone.